So when I took my first diagnostic mock test, e-GMAT, the main problem I faced was that the concepts, although I studied them a long time ago, the concepts were not completely clear to me. So that reflected in the score, like you mentioned, I scored a 46th percentile. But then once I started going through the e-GMAT course, that's when I could see my concepts getting clearer, my foundations getting stronger, and that's how I think I made that improvement. It clearly recognized within one or two diagnostic tests where I'm strong and where I need to work upon. So that directly reflected in the hours of saving, and especially in my busy schedule that I have, the type of saving space has provided and the type of focused approach it has provided has been very instrumental. So initially when I wrote the mock, I just read the question and whatever the answer I felt correct, I marked it. But then the pre-thinking approach taught by e-GMAT, it gave me the kind of confidence to approach a question with a prior data, with a prior clarity on how to search for the answer, how to arrive at the answer in the choices.
Hello everyone and welcome to another debrief session with e-GMAT. Today we have with us Karthik, who scored an exceptional 685, that is the 97th percentile on the GMAT. So welcome Karthik and thank you for joining in.
Thanks a lot, Abha. Thank you.
So Karthik, what makes your journey all the more special is the entirety of you starting with a 555 in your first Sigma X mock that you took as a diagnostic, and now you are sitting and you were able to achieve a 685, right? So when we look back at your first Sigma X mock, the scores were you had received a V83, a Q77 and a D73.
Yes.
So looking into these scores, it was very clear that quants and DI was something that you had to really, really focus to get to your target score.
Correct.
So deep diving into your quant section where you had a very massive improvement. You actually improved from a 46 percentile to a 97 percentile. So what were the challenges that you faced in this section and how did you go about overcoming them?
Yeah. So first things first, it's been a lot of time since I touched any problem solving because I was for the last 5 years, I was working with Indian Oil. So not much of quant problem solving was done. So when I took my first diagnostic mock test, e-GMAT, the main problem I faced was that the concepts, although I studied them a long time ago, the concepts were not completely clear to me. So that reflected in the score, like you mentioned, I scored a 46th percentile. But then once I started going through the e-GMAT course, that's when I could see my concepts getting clearer, my foundations getting stronger, and that's how I think I made that improvement.
Yeah. And looking into your stats also, Karthik, I'm just going to take a moment and share my screen. So this is your WP course, right?
Yeah.
You did the P.A.C.E enabled course itself in quants where you were able to save a lot of time. So I was looking into that in WP itself, you saved a good about 11 hours, 35 minutes.
Yeah.
Right? Now, what kind of contribution did P.A.C.E have on your entire quant journey?
Yeah. So P.A.C.E has been actually very instrumental in this year because it clearly recognized within one or two diagnostic tests where I'm strong and where I need to work upon. So that directly reflected in the hours of saving, and especially in my busy schedule that I have, the type of saving space has provided and the type of focused approach it has provided has been very instrumental. So throughout the quant journey, especially like you mentioned in the word problem section, it has been very useful for me.
And talking about, because see, in quants, when we talk about your final score, right, you had a Q89, which is a 97th percentile, right? So what are the key skills that are necessary to actually ace the GMAT quant and to get to that target score? What were the key skills that you developed along the way?
So, in my opinion, the first and foremost skill is to have the foundations clear.
Hmm.
For example, let it be it in number properties, or be it in word problems, be it in algebra, advanced topics, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
First and foremost important thing is to have the basics clear. And then the next step is understanding what type of questions GMAT asks, and especially in the given time of 2 minutes, how to strategize solving a question,
Hmm.
and then going ahead and doing it. So if you
Mm-hmm.
start off without any strategy in a question and somehow you start solving it, I observed that it never gave me results.
Mm-hmm.
So I took some time at the beginning of the question to understand it. Let us say some 20 seconds, 30 seconds to understand the question, and then to form a strategy as to what kind of work I have to do to arrive at the solution. Only then, when I did that work, that worked out for me.
Okay.
So these
So,
type of, yeah,
yeah. So when you talk about strategies, right, I'm sure you would be using certain kind of process skills to break it down. At the end of the day,
right.
it's a quant question. How do you tackle it? Right. So could you elaborate more on the strategies that you are referring to?
So that the reading of the question properly, understanding each and every part of the question, the data given, and then understanding what is asked, and then arriving at how to use the given data to arrive at the solution. These are the
Got it.
type of skills that I.
Okay. And in verbal as well, interestingly, in verbal, you already started at a strong foot, right? When you started
Yeah.
off in your first diagnostic mock, you had a 86th percentile. And then at this point, you are at a 91st percentile. Right. So, what were the refining that you did because that made this impact? So, was there a change in the approach or, some skill sets that you developed that help you to push it further from there?
Yeah. At this point, I want to mention the pre-thinking approach. That has played a major role in whatever improvement that we are seeing.
Mm-hmm.
So initially, when I wrote the mock, I just read the question and whatever the answer I felt correct, I marked it. But then the pre-thinking approach taught by e-GMAT, it gave me the kind of confidence to approach a question uh, with a prior data, with a prior clarity on how to search for the answer,
Mm-hmm.
how to arrive at the answer in the choices. So this has been the most important improvement. And apart from that, the master comprehension course, which is given at the beginning of the verbal section, it taught me how to actually uh, read, let's say, a sentence or a paragraph clearly,
Mm-hmm.
and then pick out all the important points. So this master comprehension has also been a very
Yeah.
part of my journey.
Yeah, I think in verbal, like to ace verbal, it's very important to break the sentence into a proper sentence structure, right?
Exactly.
So the key skills that you developed in master comprehension or how we have constructed the master comprehension is for a student to actually develop first the foundation skills, right?
Right.
Then you go about doing the CR and RC.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
Now, when you were done with your verbal and quants part, when you could start seeing that you're hitting those L20 numbers, you're hitting those cementing stages, right? That's when you move to your final phase, which was your
Right.
DI section,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
In DI, when we compare to the other section, it was like slightly starting at a lower end, right? You were at a 39 percentile when you started off. So the improvement in DI also to an 86 percentile has been a journey for you, right?
Yeah.
So what was your approach previously for DI? How would you go about tackling DI questions and how did that change with time?
So to be honest, I didn't have any strategy for the AI questions at the beginning.
Hmm.
So those are the type of questions where I was struggling a lot,
Hmm.
especially in the graphical analysis and table analysis. In fact, to be honest, I didn't even know that the tables could be sorted.
Hmm.
So I was searching, I was sorting the table mentally myself and
Hmm.
then searching for the answer.
Hmm.
Okay. But then after doing the course, I got the type of clarity, especially in the graphical section, graphical analysis, uh, how to approach a graph, what are the different types of graphs available, how to approach each graph,
Mm-hmm.
and then how to analyze a table properly. And especially in the MSR section where different data need to be analyzed together,
Mm-hmm.
uh, the course has given me a lot of clarity to approach every question, every single type of question available.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So with that clarity, I was able to.
Yes, and I think it clearly is reflected in your scores as well because these are your GITA cementing quizzes, right? Eventually, when you started off, you were able to hit a 70%, then gradually a 90% in relaxed mode, and finally you were hitting a 90% in standard timing, right? It does show your progress. It also shows that you were actually putting in the efforts to understand from your mistakes as well, right?
Yes.
At e-GMAT, we tend to follow the stage one, stage two approach, Karthik, which you did in your journey as well,
Yeah.
right? So, what was the role of cementing and how important it is that one does this kind of focus practice on GMAT like questions to master their ability?
Yeah. So once all the course is done, then we move on to the cementing.
Hmm.
So the medium cementing, we need to hit a percentage of 70%, and in the hard cementing, we need to achieve an accuracy of 55%. So for me, it is like a sectional test.
Hmm.
What I've learned in this section, whether I'm able to convert it uh, to answer the GMAT-like questions.
Yep.
That was the challenge which the cementing presented to me, and
Hmm.
I think cementing is most critical aspect of it because once you completely understand a topic, cementing tests whether you have understood it in a way that GMAT expects you to.
Mm-hmm.
So once you achieve the numbers in the targets in cementing, that's when you can be sure that yeah you're moving in the right direction. So especially the error log,
Hmm.
which in the format specified by GMAT, maintaining of the error log has been really helpful. So to
Yep.
clearly understand where we are going wrong in each cementing question, or for that matter, any particular question,
Hmm.
understand clearly, recognize where we are going wrong,
Mm-hmm.
and targetedly attacking those areas.
Mm-hmm.
So that has been really pivotal.
Yeah. Now, since you mentioned the error log, do you recall any example of a pattern of mistake that you identified through your error logs and you were able to
Yeah,
rectify?
certainly. Like I mentioned in the verbal part of it,
Mm-hmm.
initially the pre-thinking was not so natural to me. So even after completing the CR section, when I started the cementing process, I observed that the most important pattern where I was going wrong is the pre-thinking. So then using the error log, I understood that that is the place where I need to target.
Mm-hmm.
So once I started consciously putting efforts into pre-thinking, that's when I could see the improvement.
Got it. Got it. And Karthik, when you were in the final stages of your preparation, right, you were also part of the Last Mile Push program with us, right? So, how was your journey in the LMP and uh, this kind of support, right? What role and impact did it have to get you to your final score?
So I should actually be thankful to you, Abba, for the last mile push program. So what can I say? It has been very, very important, very, very crucial in my journey, especially in the last stages, like you mentioned,
Hmm.
where after doing all the course, we need a clarity as to what are our weak spots
Hmm.
and what best can we do in the available time to achieve the target. And the mentorship that I received from e-GMAT and self, it has been outstanding. So the type of planning you've given me in the smart sheet and these sections which you specifically told me to revise, be it in Quant or Verbal,
Mm-hmm.
to solidify my concepts.
Mm-hmm.
That has been really important.
Yeah.
And it translated to that score in the GMAT also, actual GMAT.
Yeah, I think what adds to the LMP is also what the student brings on the table. I feel that while we can create the plan for you, we can tell you the matrices. As a student, I believe you were very, very diligent in following the process through, right? Especially you were open to feedback. So when I used to say that, Karthik, a little bit in the cementing quiz, we can work on specific topics, right? Why don't we look into this? Because as per your data analytics, as per your skill data, these are topics where your accuracy is lower. So you would be
Yes,
open to feedback, you would really work around. And I think that is also one of the major reasons why you were able to see the improvement that you did. Right. So we worked on several milestones as part of the LMP, and the final stage is the mocks. Right.
right.
And you have taken a decent number of mocks. So why don't you walk us through your mock strategy? Right. And how did you
Yeah.
plan your mocks in the final phase?
So, yeah, right after completing of quant and verbal sections,
Mm,
that's when I took one diagnostic mock, one official mock of GMAT.
mm,
So to understand where I'm standing in terms of quant and verbal,
mm,
and what kind of improvement do I observe in BI section because of completing quant and verbal sections.
mm,
So in that I was able to score a 645, which gave me a type of confidence that yeah, so I'm moving in a right path, and after completing DI, I'll be able to achieve my target scores.
mm,
So then I completed the DI course, including the cementing, and of course the test readiness process prescribed by GMAT, e-GMAT. Then I went on and took a mock number two. That's when I scored a 675. So based on the score that I've achieved and the detailed analysis which we have done together, we've understood the key areas where we need to focus further to translate this type of score into the actual GMAT. Then again, after let's say, I think 1 week of gap and 1 week of study in between, that's when I took a mock number three. And after one more week, I took a mock number. So these are the mock tests I've taken. In mock three, I was able to score around 695, I think. And in mock four, it was around 705. So based on the build-up of scores in mock, that's when I was confident that with the type of skills I have developed, with the type of work I have put in, I'll be able to replicate the same type of performance in the test also. So that has been my strategy for taking mocks, and especially in the mocks, what I focused was on the time management. So
yeah.
initially, when I took that 645 mock, I was running out of time in each and every section. In fact,
Mm,
even in one section, I ran out of time and I was not able to review any questions that I have marked for review. Then later in the final stages and the last mock test, so I was able to properly manage my time and then review all the questions that I have marked for review.
yeah.
So that gave me a large amount of confidence actually.
Yeah. Now, Karthik, since you mentioned that, timing was an issue in the first mock before you took the
Yes,
DI
exactly.
section, right? You realized that. And
Yes,
that's also the reason why we asked you to take the mock then,
yes,
right?
exactly.
So, how did you go about changing uh, that strategy? What did you do differently in the other mocks that helped you to complete the sections? What were the corrective actions you took?
Yeah. So first and foremost thing that I've done is the maximum time that I want to allocate to any sort of question, I have fixed it at 3 minutes.
Mm,
So okay, this changed my whole approach because when I was taking the previous mocks, if I was not able to solve a question, let us say a word problem question, or let us say MSR questions, if I'm not able to solve it, then I would fixate on this question and start doing it again. So that would cost me another 2 3 minutes. But what I changed predominantly is that I fixed the time limit to a maximum of 3 minutes in any section, be it quant, verbal, or DI. So if I saw that I was not able to solve a question in 3 minutes, immediately I'll mark something, I'll do my best guess, I'll mark it for review and move ahead. So this has been the change which gave me good results actually.
yeah, right. And I think it's a very important test taking skill also, that you need to have your own cap timing, right? You need to have
Yeah,
your good timing. Like beyond this, you should not be going ahead and spending time, because you might end up losing out on the last set of questions and the score will drop because of the
exactly.
penalty, right? So a decision of, consciously deciding that it's okay, I need to move forward, there's no point spending extra time, is very, very crucial for all the
Yeah,
GMAT test takers out there. Right,
exactly.
right. Karthik, when you were looking at the mocks, we knew that, you are there, right? Your last mocks, you were hitting that 675, 695, 705. We knew that you're almost there. Your target, which was 685 and above, is set, right? So you booked the test date. So why don't you walk us through your test day experience?
So yeah, on the test day, after completing all the formalities, of course, I started off with this order. I completed quant first, then verbal, and then DI. So I started off with quant because after all the metrics that I've achieved, I felt that quant is my strong area. So I was able to complete the quant section quite satisfactorily, and then I moved on to verbal section. In verbal section, of course, due to the test anxiety, I was unable to answer some of the questions uh, as much satisfactorily as possible. I think that reflected on the DI score.
Hmm.
So I was targeting something around DI 80, 82, 83.
Hmm.
Then to all the future GMAT takers that I'm specifically saying this, the section that verbal section which I felt I couldn't perform properly, there was that weight in my mind, so
Hmm.
which I couldn't handle DI properly,
Hmm.
I feel. So I could have, if I could have isolated that particular section's weight on my mind,
Yeah.
I feel I could have done a little better on DI.
Yeah.
But overall, DI also has been a good experience.
Yeah. And were there any particular things that you did differently, or the sequencing? You mentioned about the timing strategy, right?
Yeah,
Apart from this, did you bookmark any questions or anything of that sort?
yeah. So, like I told you, if I am not able to solve a particular question, then I'll give my best guess and I'll
Hmm.
mark it for review and move ahead. So
Okay.
finally, after completing all the questions, I will go back to those particular questions marked
Hmm.
and I'll give my best effort to solve it.
Got
So
it.
yeah,
In verbal and DI, did you use the review option or a bookmark option at this point? Given that in verbal you felt that there was a panic setting in, like you said, right? So
yeah,
those questions, were you able to go back?
yeah. I was able to go back and review, but unfortunately, I couldn't convert it into right answer.
Understood.
Yeah,
Understood. Now, talking about your journey, Karthik, it's been a tremendous journey of improvement, right? I'm sure there are a lot of test takers who are starting with that 500 range, and wanting to get to that 95th percentile, 96th percentile above, right? So,
yeah,
when you look back into your journey, what would be your takeaways that you feel that these are a very essential or key factors in someone's GMAT journey, and unavoidable. This has to be done. What would be those key takeaways for you?
yeah. So takeaway number one would be conceptual strength.
Hmm.
So for cracking GMAT, first thing you need is conceptual strength. The second thing is comprehending whether it is a quant question or a verbal question or a DI question, comprehending the question and completely understanding what is given there.
Mm-hmm.
Because even one word will change the outcome of the question. So
Mm.
we need to read each and every word of the question very carefully and then comprehend and then put it into perspective.
Yeah.
And the next thing is forming a strategy for every type of question. So this is let us say, with the given data, by following this particular strategy, I'll be arriving at an answer. So
Mm-hmm.
these three are the most important takeaways that I had from this journey.
Yeah. And I'm sure that, the takeaways that you just mentioned do summarize your journey to a very, nice way, because they do tell us that no matter where you are starting, right, the methodologies or the structured approach, if you get them handy, they can literally improve and push the barriers for you.
Yeah.
Right. So on that note, Karthik, I think I would like to thank you for on behalf of the
Thank you.
entire e-GMAT team for taking this time for us and sharing your insights of your success story. So thank you, Karthik, and we wish you all the best for your applications.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.